T to G to I to F to F. Thank God it's first. Thank God it's first Friday.
Hello, I'm Brother Luke Rawicki.
Cough. You didn't cough.
Am I supposed to cough?
You said you were going to cough.
Well, too bad. I'm Brother Luke Rawicki.
I thought you really were going to cough.
No, we're not. We're starting right now.
Okay, that's fine. I'm Brother Andrew Torrey.
There we go. All right, and this is TGIFF Season 3,
F.
Episode 1.
Season 3, people.
So, the last 2 seasons, we've gone through our ups and our downs and all these things, but it's possible that in the midst of hustle and bustle, we fall into ruts or routines, and there's actually a specific word, Oxford or Cambridge Dictionary, I can't remember exactly where I read it.
I think it's all of them, Luke. It's definitely a thing now. Definitely.
A thing, right? And I think the definition is to fall into a rut or routine in the month of September is actually called SLEPT-embering.
SLEPT-embering, that's right. Have you been to SLEPT-embering recently, Brother Luke?
Well, no it ain't. No it ain't. No it ain't.
It ain't SLEPT-ember.
All right, so you're going to hear that jingle a little bit to remember what it is that we want to talk about this episode of TGIF.
F. And it's not September. But no, actually, it is September. But it ain't SLEPT-ember, folks. So get that in your heads, okay?
It's a time to wake up, not to be asleep. Brother Andrew, what have you been doing? Where are you right now, and what have you been doing the last week?
So I am in Mexico City. It's the first time I'm privileged to visit this country. And I am living a 15-minute walk away from the biggest apostolate that the legionaries have. And it's called the Anáhuac University. It's this really big university in Mexico. Mexico City has 2 different campuses here in the city, which is like the 5th largest city metropolitan area in the world. And it has about like 8 or 10 different campuses throughout the country. And I'm here just for a month, and I am helping to give some talks to the freshmen about taking advantage of the 4 years of their university, of their college life. So it's really exciting. I'm enjoying it. And it's also a challenge, but it's a lot of fun.
And so you start off each of these talks with like a jingle, something like, no it ain't, no it ain't, no it ain't.
It ain't September. No, it ain't SLEPT-ember. I messed it up there.
What is the talk?
Right.
You talk to these freshmen, they're arriving to a new campus and a new stage in their lives. So what are you telling them to help them take advantage?
Well, I start off with like my life. I tell them, I'm a 30-year-old missionary. I live in Rome, and I have this great privilege to bring people to St. Peter's all the time. And it's a really special experience for me. It helps me to sort of not get used to living in Rome. Like you and I have lived in Rome for a long time, right? Deacon Luke. And so sometimes we get used to living there. But I take these families to St. Peter's for the first time, and the beauty just floors them. They're just really impacted by the beauty. And then so I try to sort of draw out what, the experience that we all have of beauty in our lives, of beautiful things that attract us, people, places, experiences of beauty, right? And what I do is, we go from physical beauty with these freshmen, physical beauty to more interior beauty, how the beauty of a person is manifested. And I try to get them to think about, what makes a person beautiful, like really, like after, eventually we're all going to be all, old and wrinkly, and, the beauty of youth, how would you say, withers away, right, with the years. But that's okay, because what really makes a person beautiful is his soul. And what I really trying to get across to these kids who are in front of me, these young men and young women, is a desire to take advantage of the 4 years they have to form themselves into excellent people that will live a good life, not only for themselves, but that will create ripple effects in the lives of other people, so that society can little by little become better, become more just, more charitable, right? So it's a fun experience, and I think it's cool because beauty is an experience that everybody has, right? There's nobody who doesn't like beautiful things or beautiful people. And that's an insight. It gives us an insight into who we are as human beings and what we're called to. So it's a challenge too, because, not everybody is interested in what you have to say, right? When you're giving a talk or a class, and especially now when in COVID, we're having the classes are hybrid. So I have, some people online and some people are in front of me. So it's a challenge, but there's definitely, I can see that God is allowing some of the seeds that I'm spreading. He's allowing some of them to slowly bear fruit, a little bit. And over time, that depends on him, right? So it's a good experience. What about you? You've been in Monterrey, northern Mexico, right? Northern-ish Mexico for about a month or so, give or take. What's it been like?
Yeah, so we're both in Mexico, but for those that aren't that familiar with Mexico, it's huge. And so even though Brother Andrew and I are both here, we're in the same time zone, like this little vertical sliver of the globe. But yeah, we're pretty far away, and so we're doing this over Zoom. For those who are listening on audio, and we're also just to remind you, we have a YouTube channel now as of
That's right, brand spanking
12.
new.
Yep. What I've been doing is I was ordained a deacon, and as you know from our last episode, at the end of July. And then I was sent to Monterrey to help with our youth work. So it's faith formation for middle school, high school boys. The high schoolers are the leaders for the middle schoolers. And something that I've been so impressed and kind of made us want to talk about this theme of waking up in September.
Yes.
Is because I've been meeting these 15, 16, 17-year-old guys. And they are all pumped up to be team leaders. And so the way that the youth work is carried out here is that instead of having, one person, like a priest or brother or deacon, giving a talk to like a big group of 100 or 200 kids, they're all split up into teams, and that team is going to not only accompany them for the week or for the month, but for the rest of their lives. And so there are members of Regnum Christi, which is the Catholic lay federation or movement, that is associated with the Legionaries of Christ, and we're one big spiritual family. There are members of Regnum Christi here that started in this youth work program called Faro, Club Faro, and they've been on the same team for like 30 years. And so
Wow.
It's like you have your group of friends, but all of you guys, all of them together, and it's also a similar program for girls, very similar. And you're with these guys, but you have one thing in common, like that's deeper and more profound, and they hold you together. Like the glue of these groups is their relationship with Jesus, with Christ. And so it's incredible to see how these high schoolers say, I want to bring these boys and give them the same experience I've had, because they were all on teams when they started in 6th grade. It starts, and you form a group, like it's with your close friends. So it's not like you have to form some other group. It's like you and your friends come together to this clubhouse we have, and you begin to receive like talks, and then you have moments of prayer, a lot of soccer, fun activities, but also like mission work type things, like urban missions, like you're passing out rosaries on street corners, pre-pandemic, of course, and then other things,
Right.
Going to like far off villages, and you're donated your clothes, and you're bringing food to these people, and you're just like praying with them and accompanying them that are less fortunate people. So as you're growing up, you're like experiencing the faith, you're living out the faith alongside friends of yours. And I was thinking, how many people in the world have this same mission in life that these high schoolers have? And that's what it means to like wake up this September, and it's not, no it ain't, no it ain't, no it ain't.
It ain't September.
It ain't September, because we all are called to have that same mission. Right? Even if you're not a team leader in Monterrey, Mexico, Brother Andrew, what you're saying about beauty, like living in Rome for 6 years, you can get used to going to St. Peter's. So how much it helps to take some person through, or a family through of a tour, and you see the look on their face when they walk in, they're like amazed, and you're like, yeah, whatever. It's like this gigantic, one of the biggest in the world, and like all the famous architects and designers and artists of the world have like left their imprint on it, and obviously it's like big deal, right? And like this 11-story canopy over the altar, like and for them, it's like it's the first time it hits them, and it is possible to live and to renew that same excitement for life every single day. And that's what we're talking about now, and we're going to continue talking about this episode, because it's not a month to sleep. And it's easy to fall into a routine now that summer's over, school's started, work is back.
Right.
And how,
Same old, same old.
yeah, how do you live life to the full? How do you, like, based on what your talk's been or like other things? I was thinking you're a go-getter type of person. Like you were made like the director of chant and you published a 400-page book. You have a summer off, and instead of just like lounging on your back, you travel around, you're taking advantage, you're like meeting different people in the States, now you're in Mexico. Like, what moves you, or what could you say to like people listening to this episode that can give them a more of a mission September, so they're not sleeping in September?
Yeah, no, we don't. We're sleepless in September, right? I think that was the name of a famous movie, right? Something like that. Sleepless in September.
Seattle in September. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Same thing, Well, on the one hand, thinking about my experience in Rome, you and I have entered the Basilica of St. Peter so many times. And it's always going to be amazingly beautiful, right? But it's also, we have to say, like, you do kind of get used to it because we've seen it, we've probably entered in that Basilica probably 100 times at least. All the tours we've done, the times we visited, we've been on our own, at least 100 times. And it's not like we can just retrain ourselves and like, oh, we see the Pietà. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. Like, no, I've already seen it 100 times, So I think we don't have to like try to trick ourselves and like, oh my gosh, this is the Pietà. This is amazing. It is the Pietà and it is amazing. But once you've, kind of gone through the motions a lot, what you can do is you can go into deeper layers of something, right? So, for instance, like I guess I would think like I remember one time I was in front of the Pietà, and I realized, hey, I've never actually stopped in front of the Pietà and like prayed a rosary or just talk to Mary or talk to Jesus, and so I did that, and I was able to go into a deeper spiritual meaning behind all of this, right? So when we get used to things in life, used to the same activity, used to bringing our kids to school every day at the same hour, used to doing the same things at work, coming home, the same exercise routine, cooking the same meals, going to that, 8:30 a.m. mass always on Sunday morning, getting up, getting the kids up, or if you're a student, studying the same things, having the part-time job. There's a lot of stuff that we get used to, and it's just the way life is because we have to repeat different activities. But I also think part of not falling asleep is realizing, hey, what's the deeper meaning behind what I'm doing, right? Like why, like the Dunque hermeneutic, like where there's a what, there's a
why.
Exactly. That was great, Brother Luke. So there's always a deeper reason behind the things that we live, the things that we see, the things that we experience, So I think that helps me to get to accept that, there's moments of routine and I can't just psychologically trick myself into like, okay, like, come on, like, no, it's like, okay, I've done this so many times, but I can try to find new meaning in what I do and what I live.
I was thinking there's like a, what do you call it? Like a juxtaposition, or maybe that's not the word I'm looking for, but.
Oh my gosh, Brother Luke, come on, don't be so complicated.
We need a Greek word here than that. So the way that like you can live deeply is by avoiding a deep sleep. So like, how do you avoid a deep sleep? You go into a deep sleep spiritually by living on the surface. So there's like, what would you call that? It's like, by living on the surface, you go into a deep sleep. By going deep, you're awake. Like, is that like a?
Whoa.
It's kind of like a
paradox.
Inventing, yeah. Anyways, but
those of you who have not yet checked out our YouTube channel, which is TGIFF Pod Squad, you should check it out because Brother Luke just did some really cool movements with the hand, like explaining this, and that's something you just don't get in the audio version, So go out there, check it out.
Silent.
Right now we have a whopping 8 subscribers, so that's pretty cool. Obviously, we're not about getting a bunch of subscribers. We just want to, do a little, spread a little good in the world, right? So, anyways, so explain to us, brother. Yeah, deep sleep, but then like the deep, whatever. What were you talking about?
Okay, so if you live on the surface, you run the risk of being in a deep sleep. So like what you're
Yeah.
saying, if you live on the surface and it's just like, oh, the things that catch my attention, like at first glance, or like what makes me feel excitement, then I get excited. If I don't feel excitement, then it just kind of like life is humdrum and boring.
Yeah.
So what
Right.
you were explaining with the pietà, I think, is something that like has caught hold of. Again, I'm going to go back to these high schoolers that because of the last week, and we've been organizing these meetings with small groups of them at a time, and a lot of them have been saying similar things about, I first started coming to this youth club to play soccer, to be with my friends, or because my mom made me. Actually, two of them, I remember right now, had said, I didn't want to be here anymore. My mom was making me, so I stopped coming. And then I came back because I wanted to be there. And a lot of them were saying that, like, I realized it was much more, Club Faro, which is this youth organization, is much more than just soccer. And it's much more than just being with my friends. It's all of that, but it's because there's something deeper, which is I'm learning my faith and I have a relationship with Jesus Christ. And that makes life exciting. And so if you go see the Pietà 20 times, of course, by the 20th time, you're not that excited unless you go deeper. Like you said, okay, how can I spiritualize it? Dunque, how can I go deeper? What is God trying to tell me in this? I'm going to pray my rosary. Now it has a new meaning. Maybe it's not like the bubbly type of,
Yeah.
oh, wow, I'm, first time in Rome and seeing the Pietà. But it's actually, you're more awake when something that you've seen a million times still causes you awe and wonder and
Yeah.
amazement.
Yeah. And I think I mean, I've never like been in like in a long-term like loving relationship like with a woman, but I imagine that's what happens when people are in love. Like in the beginning you have like that bubbly sensation, like she's attractive, and wait, what'd you say?
Infatuation.
You're infatuated, exactly. Even if you're skinny, you're infatuated with this person, and there's like an attraction and it's exciting. And then I'm sure married couples, they always say like, yeah, like sort of it could start to wear away a little by little, but once you get past like I guess you would say digesting all of the newness of the relationship. I don't know if you can say that, if that sounds bad. But once you've kind of like gone through like all those, like the excitement of the newness, then that's an opportunity like to go deeper, like, okay, like I love this person, not just because he or she's beautiful, but because of the way they are, because just because of who they are, and so I guess the same thing is, for us in consecrated life, right? Like we're always reading like the same gospel passages. Like it's always the same one. Like for me, it's like the sower. A sower went out to sow, and it's like, oh man, not this one again. Exactly. But it's like, no, go deeper. Like you don't need, like we need to be more mature. Like we need to not depend on being entertained by constant novelties. We're called to not fall asleep, right? Isn't there like some sort of like song that's about that? I don't know. Something I heard recently.
No, it ain't. No, it ain't. No, it ain't.
Ain't September.
Beautiful. Lovely. Yes. I love
Yes.
what you're saying. Like, if we apply that to like, you hear like there's like a bunch of divorce right now, like in the world, right? There's like higher divorce than ever.
Yeah.
I wonder if you can apply that to life. Like, okay, so there's divorce because why? Like you have this infatuation period. You feel it all feels really good. Life hits. Those feelings are gone. And now what? And so like a lot of people, and I know it's complicated and there's a lot of different issues, right? But like simplifying it maybe can help us understand how we can not divorce life when those feelings kind of go away. Like maybe divorcing life in the same kind of sense as what I'm talking about would be like always needing to change, because the same things get boring. So you need to change jobs, you need to change like whatever your hobbies, you need to change, and that's not a bad thing. But when you stick to something like an instrument, or you stick to something, I mean, obviously a relationship, even a friendship,
Yeah.
if you keep switching, you're not gonna have that. You're not gonna ever arrive to that deep, full, the plenitude, like the fullness of whatever that experience can offer you, because you're living on the surface, and so you don't have the depth. But when you have it,
Yeah.
then you're fully alive.
It's like drinking like wine. It's like people don't like, oh yeah, like I just pulled out a Chardonnay from 2021. Like who's gonna want to drink that? You know, you wanna. I mean, I really don't know. Maybe Chardonnays don't take that long. I really don't know. I'm not a connoisseur, you know, but but if people want older wines, like those are the most valuable ones. Like the wines, like it's been the same ingredients sitting over time, maturing in this oak barrel in some cellar in the Napa Valley, and it's aging, and that's what people come to enjoy the most. It's not like, okay, I want the quick results. Okay, I need to change routine, or okay, I need to, find something new. No, like maybe it's, stick, don't be like, I don't think we shouldn't resist the same things that happen in our life all the time, because there's just the way life is. And we shouldn't run away from that. We should, like you just said, like we need to seek depth, right? And sort of like wake up, like don't fall asleep in the same motions, wake up, live them with depth,
And actually, I don't want to bring up the same theme in case like listeners are like, okay, we already heard what you had to say on this and stuff. Okay, so the whole like tension episode, and we're talking about the Novus Ordo and the traditional mass and the motu proprio of the Pope. So the Pope writes this letter, and everyone already knows that's listening to this right now, but he writes this letter saying, okay, there's gonna be further regulations. The bishops are going to be overseeing the Latin Mass and its celebration or not, and so it's caused some tension. And what just came to my mind as you were speaking too was, okay, there are things that will change in life, and we have to know how to deal with that. It's not like we should just have this life where it's just like, okay, I'm gonna do the same 5 things every day for the next 7 years.
Static. Right.
Like, life is gonna change. And I was listening to Bishop Barron talk to Larry Chapp, I think his name was, but on a podcast. And I think every episode since season 1, episode 1, we've talked about Bishop Barron.
He's great. We have to promote him. He's doing an awesome job,
I think he needs more like followers and stuff, like, so we're trying to help him. So we shout out.
Exactly. Yeah. I'm sure our loyal listeners will give him a follow.
Yeah. So he was talking about, okay, the whole topic of hell. He was not generalized. I actually think he was very faithful, and I love listening to him because he's moderate in the sense that he's not, I don't know, he's
not fire and brimstone.
Yeah, he's pastoral, he's intelligent, he knows his stuff, but he applies it to like everyday life. Okay, so he was saying this whole thing of some traditionalists will say, oh, you need to preach more sin and hell because otherwise people are going to be damned, and like this whole thing, like this whole like stereotype of von Balthasar saying that no one's going to go to hell is also not totally true. This episode was really good to explain the whole von Balthasar thing. So if you're interested,
okay.
It was the latest episode they just had this past week. I think it came out Monday, so that was August, 30th, something like that. Anyways, so he's talking about, okay, right now in today's world, that's not the discourse that's going to get people like to heaven. Like if I go on the street corner and I say like, you're all going to hell, like actually there are those people at the March for Life for some reason that will like stand out there and like tell people they're going to hell, and like, I don't know, they're taking advantage.
Yeah, and everybody's ignoring them because there's an ocean of joy that's just flowing right past them.
Brother Andrew, that's an awesome image, because that's basically what he was saying. He was saying like there needs to be something else, and so there are things that will change, but if you're able to go deep, you'll see, okay, there are essential things that will never change, can never change, we need to defend with all of our might. But then because of that, because of those things, based on those things that are not changing, God himself is not changing, the church is not changing, the fundamental truths, at least, of the church are not changing. Now, so the church does need to be seeing how the modern world is working and say, okay, how can we bring this message that doesn't change to a world that is changing? And so an ocean of joy passes straight by this guy who's preaching with his megaphone, like, you're all going to be damned, and this Pope is Antichrist. Why? Because, like, there's another line of communication happening that, like, it won't connect, like, if you're not in touch with reality and the way that, like, the Holy Spirit is moving us to pray. So anyways, I don't want to maybe like not bring up the same topic again if it's getting old, but I think it's actually a beautiful way to, again, think about this whole, like, Novus Ordo, maybe tension idea, is that if these kind of things change causes me tension, maybe it's because I haven't gone deep enough to go down to what's essential. And then I think the most open people are the ones that are the deepest. Like, you can think, oh, this person's been doing something the same way for so long. Like the most dynamic people are the ones that have taken a long time to let things like settle and reflect it a lot, because then they know
Mhm.
to apply this in this situation, apply this in this situation. Like they're not afraid of change. They're not afraid of new situations because they've got like the depth already in them.
Yeah. Yeah, that reminds me, I think, people who have depth, a lot of these people who have depth that we find in life are our elders. That's kind of hard to say. They're our elders, people who have gone before, who are still alive, or maybe people who've already passed away, and who've left behind testimonies of their lives and what they've learned in life. Maybe something that can help us to sort of shake us up, get us out of our torpor, our sleep, is to read people who have learned valuable lessons in life. I know Pope Francis, he's always talking about the need for younger generations and middle-aged generations, whatever, to be in touch with the elderly, the older generations.
Yeah.
Actually, this year in July, there was the first World Day for Grandparents that the Pope instituted. I think it's the last day in July, close to the feast of Saints Joachim and Anna, who were Jesus' grandparents. So maybe one thing that you can do, for those of you who want, like, okay, well, all this nice little charming speech about waking up. Well, one thing that you can do practically is, why don't you get a book of somebody who's maybe already died, right? Not somebody modern, not somebody who's just trying to sell a lot of copies. Somebody who's written a classic book, either on like living life, a journey through life, or spirituality, or whatever. And why don't you read from that? Why don't you draw from the well of these people who have this lived experience, and who live with a depth, and who knew how not to fall asleep, right? There's so many good books out there. Maybe somebody wants one, Cardinal Vantuan, which is spelled VAN space THUAN, Cardinal Vantuan. He wrote a book called something about hope. Do you remember what the title was?
Testimony of Hope?
Deacon?
Testimony of
Hope, yeah. Is that what it is? I can't remember. It's about hope, but he had this, he had to fight against, he had to grapple with routine, because he was in this communist prison in Vietnam for 13 years. And so he was in this, I don't know, maybe like 5 foot by 10 foot space. I mean, I don't know how big it was. It wasn't big, and it was in darkness, and like he didn't have any. He just got the meals in the day, and he had his routines that he went through each day praying, and he grew spiritually. He became a saintly person, and he converted the prison guards. The prison guards, that like the communist people in charge, had to change the prison guards. But actually that was counterproductive, because he kept on converting more and more prison guards, right? So maybe just one piece of advice to sort of get out of our, sleepiness, our routine, or to enrich rather our routine, is to read from people who have gone before us, and who have learned deep lessons through the routine that they lived.
This can help us to live the Dunque hermeneutic, so that we don't just do.
We Dunque.
And so I thought you were actually going to say, like, call up your grandparents, or call up like an old teacher that you might have had, because that could be interesting too.
No. I don't think anybody should do that at all. That
Right?
doesn't sound like a good idea.
Yeah, don't do that, please. So, like,
please do not call your grandparents.
Sure. Obviously, we're kidding. So, no, but I was thinking Jacques Philippe is another one. He said, I got to meet him a few years ago, and
wow.
Talking to him, like, you saw this person who's just filled with joy. And if you read his books, you see that he's a man of like real spiritual depth, right? And again, like there's something young about a person who's has it, like their age, they're older, they have a lot of years behind them, but they've spent those years like living it to the full and reflecting on the why of life. It keeps them young, because life is always exciting when you have a mission or purpose. There's something about it. And another piece of advice just that I'm applying in my own life is to get a spiritual director, because otherwise, the not just doing but doing quaying is best done with someone else. I guess like rebounding your ideas, your experiences. Basically, talking about Andrew for me is like spiritual direction. But to have another director.
Brother Luke, you're making me blush here. Come on. That's not true.
Having a director that's not your co-host of a podcast is also helpful because you can talk about, okay, well, when I pray, this happens, and like I read this thing the other day or heard this, and there was like I had this interior movement inside of me, a reaction or question mark or something that came up, and wrestling with it, and have someone talk. Okay, well, I get a second opinion from someone who's been there before, and has walked the same path and maybe a little bit farther ahead than we are. And for me, that's gonna be key as I prepare. I'm like nine months away now from priesthood.
It's so exciting. Oh my gosh. Yeah. You're gonna be a priest, man.
A priest man. And
yeah. Well, I was a priest, comma man. Exclamation point.
That's both. But yeah, like I can't just like routine my way into it. I mean, I could, and God would give me the grace to still be Him, but I don't want to do that because there's such a rich mystery to every vocation, priesthood, married life, everything. And so like, let's go like dive into that treasure chest and like start pulling things out and seeing what's in there. Like what has God provided? When the sower went out to sow, he sowed generously, right?
Not that passage. No, it's okay. Like
there's so much and like so many fruits to gather because this sower who's Jesus, it just pours it on us. I just brought up that parable because there's the more you reflect on that parable, the more you're gonna learn from it.
I'm sure you're right somehow. Yeah. But I like the image that you use of the treasure chest, because like where do you find treasure? Treasure is obviously buried somewhere, right? And it's usually if it's really, really valuable, it's because it's old, right? Like you find coins that are like Roman Empire coins or coins that were minted like in the 1700s in the deep South, and you find them like buried underneath like some Southern lady's porch or whatever. I don't know, like it's old stuff, it's old stuff that has a lot of value. And so that's what a treasure is. Like it's old. It's not like but at the same time, what's old and what's enriching is what renews us. So it's kind of like a paradox. There's a line in our spiritual
paradox.
Yeah, paradox. So, yeah, exactly. There's a line in our spirituality about the prayer life, which something that we always want to encourage in our listeners is adopting serious prayer life. There's a line that says, "The great novelty is on the inside." The great novelty is on the inside. So what does that mean? Well, it means, the fact that, we've mentioned this before, the fact that we're always like looking for new things or like even flipping through like the posts on Instagram or listening or videos on YouTube or whatever, like you see something new and it's like, oh, okay, good. And like 2 seconds later, it's like, okay, I don't like it. And then you go to the next thing. It's like, oh, this is new. And then like, oh, okay. And the next thing, like what really is new, is on the inside, the relationship with Jesus that just transforms you. And that's something in a sense that's very old, right? It's 2,000 years old. But that's what really renews you. It's not the stuff that just like makes you happy on the surface, like what you were saying earlier, Deacon. It's like it's not just the superficial like entertainment. It's like, no, sink those roots deep. Go down, go to the very, very depths, the deepest waters, right? That's going to renew you.
Yeah, and so when I did my I think it was during my 30-day spiritual exercises. No, it was the more recent one, just the spiritual exercise that I did last, like in Holy Week. I had this awesome experience, and it was basically that, like having realizing that the novelty that I'm searching for, that we're all searching for, is in my soul. It's in something interior. But it happened when I was looking up. I came out of our chapel, took a left to start going down the dining room, but Andrew knows what I'm talking about. Room, and stomach's growling, and I look up to the sky, and it's just this beautifully clear, starry night. And I looked up, and that was the thought that came to me. And it didn't come from me because I wasn't, it was definitely God. And I looked up and I said, the novelty is in my soul. Like what I'm looking for each day to like get me excited, to get me up in the morning, all these things. It's not out there. It's not like in this beautiful starry sky, because that beautiful starry sky pales in comparison to the beauty of what's inside of me, in my soul. And so like I can spend an eternity traveling around the universe that like is my soul. which is in constant expansion, as the Big Bang Theory
Yeah.
theorists.
Oh man,
Like
this metaphor is very promising, brother.
it's constantly expanding, and I can like go hopping from one galaxy to the next, and planet to planet. But that means prayer. That means sometimes feeling bored in prayer, and then asking Lord, speak to me.
Yeah.
And like when I read the gospel, I enter into that reality of the gospel, and that enriches my reality here, 2021, living in Monterey.
Yeah.
But it all starts with delving deep into this sometimes even darkness when I don't see stars in my soul.
Yeah.
And like continue to walk forward, and then that light will bleed through. That light will pierce the darkness. And
Yeah. What you said about prayer, like when you're bored in prayer, made me think of like for those of us who continuously want to like revamp our prayer life and breathe new energy into a new life. I've basically had this one spiritual reading book for like, I don't know, like 2 years. I haven't really changed very much. It's exactly. It's In Sinu Jesu, like when heart speaks to heart. The journey, or a journal of a priest at prayer. It's amazing. We've probably talked about it before, but there's so just to make a long story short, it's this Benedictine monk who for 10 years went to adoration, and he received inspirations to write during his adoration time. He wouldn't think about what he was writing while he was writing. It just kind of like came out, right? And then he would just like 15 minutes later, he would just stop writing. And the book is a collection of words of Jesus to him and to all priests and to all of us about the need to go back to adoration. And there's a line in this book that's really good. Again, it's called When Heart Speaks to Heart, a journal of a priest at prayer. There's a line in this book where Jesus is saying, don't worry when you come to me in prayer, when you come to adoration. Many times, you're not going to feel anything, but I work on you, on your soul, in a way that you can't know. I work on you imperceptibly, right? Which means that we can't perceive him, we can't feel him. So when we don't feel anything, well, that shouldn't make us worry, because the fact that we're there and we're loving him that's all that he wants, right? That's all that we need. All we need is, what's the song? All you need is love. How does it go?
all you need is love.
Yeah. I don't remember how it goes. Isn't there some like the Beatles or John Denver or somebody? I don't know. I'm terrible at contemporary music. I don't know who it is.
John Denver.
Okay, probably. I'm sure. Yeah. Exactly. So don't worry when you can't perceive things that are happening. Like if you think that, I'm just going to prayer and there's like all routine and I'm falling asleep. Don't worry, because this month is September and we're not going to fall asleep, right, Brother Luke? Because
no, it ain't.
In September.
Beautiful. Well, Brother Andrew, I think we should wrap up this No You Ain't Septembering episode with our famous Throw Down the Gauntlets. Okay, so Brother Andrew, I'm a listener. I'm still not convinced. What do you got to say to make me want to wake up, find my mission, go deeper, wake up this September, get out of my routine, like find this inner novelty universe I have, multiverse inside of me? What are you gonna say? Don't you want to be great in life? Like, don't you want to continuously grow? Like, don't you want to see new horizons and explore new things and go on adventures? Like, that's part of all we are in our souls. My dad used to tell us kids growing up, he used to tell me, he said, in heaven, we're going to be always learning new things about God. We're always going to be like exploring new horizons and like understand new things. And it's going to be like eternal and it's going to be amazing. And that process can happen now. Like, why would you want to just like settle for the humdrum, daily, sleepy routine? Like, put a spark in it, wake yourself up, put some depth into it. And you start off with little steps, but constant, right? Don't be lazy. Demand more of yourself, because you can give a lot, because you're created in God's image. There's a lot that you can give. So don't be discouraged, and find somebody who can journey with you. That way you're not alone. I love it. I love that. Yeah, there's heaven. We can taste heaven here by going deeper, and we can experience Christ and that beatific vision we're gonna have, where we'll see God and just be in awe for all eternity. Today, in our prayer life, in your bedroom, in your office, in wherever you are, you can find
At Walmart, jogging, putting on your shoes in the morning, opening the fridge, sewing.
Walk your dog with your yo-yo,
for example, or watching the Slinky go down the steps one by one.
or watching Toy Story 4.
That was a terrible movie. I hated it.
That's
You weren't expecting that.
Remember, everybody, to wake up this September, and also remember, we do not just do.
We dunque.
God bless.
What was that? What was that?
TGIFF.
What was that?
Two brothers in Rome.
What was that? What was that?
TGIFF.
What was that?
It's a double F, not a singular F.
TGIFF. Instagram is TGIFF.podsquad. Facebook, Instagram,
Internet.
all over.